There's something we're doing. Good morning. Oh, let's try that one more time. Good morning. All right. Welcome to worship with the community of the First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm the Reverend Shari Woodbury, the settled minister here. Whether you're attending online or are with us in person, I'm glad that you've chosen to spend your Sunday morning of Memorial Day weekend with us. A special welcome to those who are visiting, whether for the first time or whether you've been coming for a while. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It is a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. Today we are going to carry on the tradition of the flower ceremony, which has been carried on for several centuries in Unitarian churches. If you brought a flower or two, you can hang on to it for now. And if you forgot to bring one or didn't know about this, don't worry, we have plenty of extra flowers. Those online are encouraged to find a flower near you that you can gaze upon during the service. It could be a real flower, or it could be maybe a picture or an image that you find. After today's service, those here in the sanctuary are invited to adjourn to the garden where we have lots of beautiful blooming flowers for coffee and conversation, and also for one more step of welcoming the folks who are joining as new members of the church today. Each week, we acknowledge that where we meet for worship as the First Unitarian Church of Omaha is the land of the Omaha Oto Nations, and that Indigenous people in the wider community have become marginalized and made invisible. We aspire to work with them to resolve issues like poverty, displaced children, and murdered and missing Indigenous women, the MMIW. I have a special joy today, a gift to present to the congregation. They say that good things come to those who wait, and here's proof. A chalice that I commissioned and intended to present to you all actually last month for the installation service, but good things sometimes take a while, especially when you're working with a talented artist. So they're going to show the pictures up here on the screen so you can get a better look at it. This was from local potter Thomas Hamilton. The design is inspired by our local home. There's 3 rivers meeting in the top of the cup that you see there on the right, representing the rivers of our area, the Missouri, the Platte, and the Elkhorn. The stones placed in top are the Platte River Valley rocks that were blessed at the installation service. And the outside of the chalice is glazed in natural blue and brown river colors. You might notice kind of marshy plant there along the river's edge, as well as stones and birds. This is my gift to the congregation. You all gave me the beautiful gift of this stole that I'm wearing. I hope that this chalice will help us to remember our place in the interconnected web of life and to hold the land in care and reverence. So I invite Jean Wagner to come forward and light this chalice, as she's one of the folks who designed and made this stole, actually. And we'll begin today to use the new chalice lighting. So I invite you to repeat this chalice lighting after me as we learn it. Ready? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thank you, Jean. Our choir, the Sanctuary Singers, finish out the choir season this morning with a special piece by Osiek, Like a River in My Soul. Thank you, Sanctuary Singers. All right, I invite all who are young and some young at heart folks might want to come too to join me down front here for a story for all ages. This is especially good if you feel like moving your body. All right, I got a little mystery to start with. I found something outdoors a couple days ago that I thought was really cool. Kind of looks like a cotton ball. Anybody know what this is? It's got a little grass in it, so don't be fooled by that. You want to see it? It's the seed from a cotton tree, which is a tree that grows in wet places and by rivers here. I think it's really cool. And it floats to the ground, and the wind helps the seeds to spread and to give trees a new place to grow, which is pretty cool. So I have a story to share that is about some of the many ways that trees and flowers and other plants move around, and it's called Plants Can't Sit Still. Okay. So we'll see if we can get the pages in the right order here. They've mixed themselves up somehow mysteriously. So I'm going to invite, the story is by Rebecca Hirsch and illustrated by Mia Posada, and I think the pictures are really pretty. And I'm going to invite you all to help by acting out the action words when you hear them, and all of you out there can do that too if you want. In fact, if you want a little more room, you might go to an aisle or go to the back or come up here to the front if you like. So whenever I say a plant is doing something, you can do that action. Okay? So you'll see the pictures up here too. You ready? Okay. Plants don't have feet or fins or wings, yet they can move in many ways. Look closely, and you'll discover that plants can't sit still. What do you do when you can't sit still? Like maybe you're at school and you're your foot kind of go like this, or Plants can wiggle as seedlings start to grow. They squirm out of spring soil, unfold their leaves, and reach. Can you reach for the warmth of light? It's kind of psychedelic. There we go. Sunflowers. Plants can creep. Anybody up here want to demonstrate creeping for us? What would creeping look like? Let me see that again. Plants can creep. They slither underground. That's a bit hard for a human to do. Maybe just like that. Yeah. Or crawl through tall grass. What would crawling through tall grass look like? This is the grass. It's okay to be silly. Let's see. Searching for the things that all plants need: water, sunshine, and room to grow. As they search, plants can climb a fence, or walk up a wall. I don't even know how to do that. Okay. Plants can hide from a hungry grasshopper, or surprise a fly. I think I'm going too fast for our picture shooter, sorry. We got to see this one, though, because this is a cool picture. Anybody know what plant would do this and get a fly? Yeah, Venus flytrap. Who knew there were plants that eat creatures? Let's see. We'll have to use our imaginations on that one. Some plants sleep at night. Oh, there's the Venus flytrap. Some plants sleep at night. I don't think they do that. Leaves nodding. Flowers folding. Others wake with the stars and lift their faces to the moon. Plants can tumble on a breeze. Whoosh! As they bounce along, seeds sprinkle out. Ooh, looked like it was in the desert. Plants can even explode. They fling their seeds into the world to make new plants. I've seen, milkweed that kind of does that, and the pod suddenly pops. A seed is a plant built for travel. Seeds can whirl like helicopters, or float on parachutes, or glide on papery wings. But they can't sit still. Seeds hitchhike on your sock or on a fox's bushy tail. And sometimes they take a ride inside a bear. What kind of seed would end up inside a bear? Any idea? Well, if you were a bear, what would you want to eat? Oh, I heard berry over here. Yeah. I think they eat raspberries. They might eat blueberries, too. I don't know. Let's see. Seeds set sail. Sploosh. Can you think of a big round seed that might fall into the water? I'll give you a hint. It grows on a tree, and people like to eat the meat of this seed sometimes. Down the river, past swaying trees in the wide ocean, drifting, waiting for what all plants need: water, sunshine, and room to grow. I think that's the coconut seed, which can float thousands of miles away from where it originally grew. When the seed finds a spot, the seedling squirms out. It unfolds its leaves. It reaches for the warmth and the light. It keeps on moving because, you want to say it with me? Plants can't sit still. And I want to show you the picture at the very end. That is a flower that we probably have all seen in our lawns. And there's seeds that are all fluffy. And you might have even taken one of these flowers before and made a wish and gone, dandelions. And they're pretty and cheerful, and we consider them weeds, but the wildlife like them. I think they're pretty too. So there they are, just starting to grow. All right. Well, thank you for... Okay. So one family has a lot of creeping Charlie in their yard, which is takes over and has little purple flowers. And you're planting what instead? Clover? Gonna plant some clovers. The bunnies like that. I've seen the bunnies in our yard eating the clovers. That's cool. Okay, well, I'm wondering if you would like to help some other plants move by, I think there are some folks out here who might have brought flowers and didn't bring them up already. You were welcome to keep your flowers with you. You've got your flower, so how about anybody out here who has a flower, pass it down the aisle, and the kids can collect up the rest of the flowers and bring them up here to the vases. Would it be okay to help with that? And our ushers might give us a hand too. And let's see, while they're collecting flowers, I'm going to share with you a flower song called In the Field of the Heart. In the field of the heart, I am welcome. In the field of the heart, I hear your name. In the field of the heart, we are laughing. In the field of the heart, we sing always. In the field of the heart, we are blooming. In the field of the heart, we are grown. In the field of the heart, we are gathered. In the field of the heart, we are home. In the field of the heart, you are welcome. In the field of the heart, you hear my name. In the field of the heart, you are laughing. In the field of the heart, we dance always. In the field of the heart, we are blooming. In the field of the heart, we are grown. In the field of the heart, we are gathered. In the field of the heart, we are home. In the field of the heart, we are welcome. In the field of the heart, we hear our names. In the field of the heart, we are laughing. In the field of the heart, we dance always. In the field of the heart, we are blooming. In the field of the heart, we are grown. In the field of the heart, we are gathered. In the field of the heart, we are home. In the field of the heart, we are home. And that song was by Mary Gregolia. And we have another joy today. We get to welcome 5 new people to our community as members. And I invite them to come forward at this time. Alex Minna, Mo McKinley, Debbie Burton, and Bob Bosco. You can all come stand in front here. Tom Burton is joining as well. Unfortunately, he's under the weather. Negative COVID test, but out of an abundance of caution, he opted to stay home today, so he's probably watching online. Hi, Tom. Just right there. That's good. Yeah, right by the piano. This is a time of joy for our congregation as we welcome these new members and renew our shared commitment to this community. And I'm joined by board member Neva Kozin in this ceremony.
We are pleased that each of you has chosen to formally become a member of this church. Hello.
You can take your mask off if you want to, Neva. It's up to you.
I'm scared of heights. Today we celebrate that commitment with a congregation. When we gather, we search together for meaning and truth in life, and we share our joys and sorrows with one another. Joining the First Unitarian Church of Omaha means being a deeper part of this gathered community, participating as voting members in the governance of the church, supporting others, and being supported in return. If you will join us in this mission and work, please say all together, I will.
Thank you. I invite the members of the congregation to rise as you are able and join in a congregational response, and those at home can do so as well. We'll do this as a call and response, so you can just listen and echo each line. I'll say the words, and then Neva will lead you all in echoing them. Let's begin. We, the members of First Unitarian Church of Omaha.
We, the members of First Unitarian Church of Omaha,
welcome you to our shared journey.
Welcome you to our shared journey
of community discovery and celebration.
Of community discovery and celebration.
We invite you to contribute.
We invite you to contribute
to our work for healing and justice.
To our work for healing and justice.
And pledge to join. Our strength and talent with yours.
Our strengths and talents with yours.
Believing that through our common effort, we may better shape the meaning of our lives. May we work together to sustain this congregation. A place of comfort and challenge. A home from which to journey. And return once again. We receive you with open hands and hearts. Welcome. Congregation, you may be seated.
New members, when you sign the membership book after the service, we will also have a welcome gift for you to remind you that you belong to this community and this community belongs to you.
It is said that membership truly begins not when you sign the book or appear before the congregation in a ceremony like this one, but when you find yourself disappointed by the congregation and choose to return anyway. Putting our covenant of right relations into practice, and I see nods of people who know what I'm talking about out there. Neva and I will alternate reading the covenant now before I ask you all to affirm it. Our covenant of right relations.
We, the congregation of First Unitarian Church of Omaha, covenant together
to create a religious community where we can freely explore our values and foster diversity as a source of strength.
To build healthy relationships, seeking to understand each other and respect our differences.
To listen deeply and endeavor to communicate directly, honestly, and compassionately, particularly when we are in conflict.
To do our best to make amends when we have hurt each other, even unintentionally. To learn from our mistakes, to forgive, and to reconnect in a spirit of understanding and commitment.
Members old and new, do you affirm your commitment to this covenant? If so, as one, you may say, I do.
I do.
Reverend Alice Blair Wesley said, to join a free church is to sign a promise that may sound simple. It should sound simple, but which, if you keep covenant, brings you into intimate companionship with others who have promised to live with all the integrity you and they together can muster in all the years of your lives. To our new members, Alex, Mo, Debbie, Bob, and Tom at home, may you find comfort in this community. May you find joy in it. May you be challenged in it. And may you know that your presence among us is a blessing for all. We're so glad to have you with us. Now we come to a time for the sharing of joys and concerns from our community. Anyone online who wants to share can put your item in the comments, and I will lift that up verbally here. I have a few I received ahead of time. Harriet Major shares that her son Jamie and his wife Sandy, while visiting Sandy's mother in Pennsylvania, have all tested positive for COVID. Jamie and Sandy are doing well, but Sandy's mother, Mary, is in her 90s and is ill. Jamie and Sandy will stay in Pennsylvania for an additional 2 weeks to help care for Mary. So we keep them in our thoughts and send good healing energy to them. And unfortunately, we've been hearing about, it feels like more people in the congregation now than at any previous time in the pandemic who are getting COVID, people who are vaccinated and boosted and doing safe things. So it's one of the reasons we've gone back to strongly encouraging masks here in the sanctuary. We don't want to spread it. I also spoke earlier with Pat Will, our organist, who normally would be here on a choir Sunday playing the beautiful organ for us. And she sadly had a fall and got a gash in her head. She's okay, but she is getting medical care. And so we send our thoughts and our healing wishes out to Pat Will as well. Okay, and I don't see anything in the live chat here. So I think those are our joys and concerns. Oh, and I've got one that was handed in. You can always fill one out in paper if you're here in the sanctuary. A joy from Douglas Lee Regier. Appreciation for parents who bring their kids to RE and youth group. It's always wonderful to see the children. Okay.
I gave myself a birthday present last week on Tuesday. I brought my wife, Eddie, home. I was thinking at the time it was permanent, but it may not be. And I'm going to be brokenhearted because we've had such a wonderful time together this week. And I believe she's doing a whole lot better. And I thank everybody for their cares and concerns.
So we'll hold Evie and Dave in our hearts as well, going through this time. Thank you, Dave. I invite you to join me in a time of meditation or prayer. You can check your posture if you want, make your body comfortable. You might want to take a few deep breaths. At any point, if you feel your emotions rising, you might want to gently tap your sternum, and you can even rock back and forth if that feels good to you. I'll offer a pastoral prayer first before we hold a minute of silent witness together. Spirit of life, we draw together in community at a time when we may feel both uplifted by the beauty of nature and weighed down by tragedies of human hands. Too many crises have piled one on top of another. Natural disasters, climate chaos, hateful acts fueled by racism, children harming children, and a nation that has made guns all too easy to obtain and that has glorified violence. Spirit of love, be with the children, Help them to feel the love and the care of many, many adults who wish to protect them and nurture them. May each child know what a precious person they are. Precious and deserving of safe communities in which to learn and become. As the hearts of parents and teachers and others break yet again, let us also acknowledge that there is no right or wrong way to respond to such unspeakable news as we have had this week, this time from Uvalde, Texas. Fear is logical. Sobs and tears are unsurprising. Rage is understandable. Numbness or frozenness may protect us from taking in more than we are able to process yet. Whatever my reaction is, it is okay. Spirit of healing, help me to remember that such events trigger physical trauma response in the body. This trauma energy in the body needs to be moved on through us by action. Let us take practical actions, like being deliberate in our voting, donating, letter writing, and let us help to spread effective ways of resolving conflict, teaching the next generations how problems can be worked through with words, not weapons. Yet we know that such practical actions, while important, may not help to clear the imprint of trauma from our animal bodies. And so we gather with others to breathe, to cry, to sing together, so we can move forward. Because that is what we need as living flesh. Spirit of transformation, hear our troubled thoughts. Witness our grieving hearts, and move through our activated bodies. Carry that energy cleanly through us so that in time we may emerge ready to serve life for our children and our children's children and all the generations to come. So may it be. Amen. Quiet time for your own contemplation or prayer. Every week, we take up an offering in support of our liberal religious values. Half of the loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a cause with a local presence, which advances important principles of Unitarian Universalism. Our Share the Plate recipient for May is Black and Pink, an open family of LGBTQ prisoners and free world allies who support each other. Their work toward the abolition of the prison and industrial complex is rooted in the experience of currently and formerly incarcerated people. This organization responds through advocacy, education, direct service, and organizing. As offering plates are passed through the sanctuary, those online will find a donation link in the description on the YouTube event. I invite you to give with a generous heart now as we hear a gift of music from Jay Goff. Isn't this beautiful? Each of us brings something to this religious community, something unique, just as we each contributed to the bouquets of beauty before us. These bouquets of love and diversity, of friendship and hope and community. The gifts we bring and the bounty we receive are not the same. Who we are is unlike who anyone else here is, just as the rose is different from the iris and the peony from the phlox. In this community, we embrace the diversity of people, appreciating the beauty of each individual and the lovely collection that we make together. Here we also accept the gifts that we receive from one another and from the bounty of nature. For receiving is no less important than giving. May we all receive the gifts of love and diversity, of friendship and hope and community that are represented by these flowers. And may our lives be richer for the beauty shared. I'm going to invite my flower helpers forward now. For the flower ceremony, we'll have one row of people come forward at a time, starting at the back of the sanctuary. You can all come down the center aisle when it's your turn to come. And when you return, you'll go back down the side aisle closest to where you were sitting. And so you can begin now. Those in the back row can come and line up behind Peg and Mary Kay. And what's going to happen is you'll receive a flower from the person who is ahead of you. They'll choose a flower and turn and give it to you. Now, if you're a person who it's easier for you to stay seated, you can raise your hand, and an usher or one of our flower helpers will bring a flower to you. So when you present the flower to the person behind you, Peg will demonstrate here, you may offer words or a bow of thanks as you receive the flower if you want. You might smile at each other with your eyes, recognize the beautiful person before you. And you won't get to pick your flower, but that's okay because in religious communities, sometimes we're surprised by the beautiful and unexpected gifts from others. And so it is during the flower communion. Now, by exchanging flowers, we show our willingness to companion one another in our search for truth, and we celebrate our shared community. After you've received your flower, you may want to sit with it in the pew and notice how you experience the flower with all of your senses, touch and feel and smell. Some of these are edible, I guess. I won't recommend which ones to try that with. But for those joining at home, if you have a flower that you can gaze upon, you can do that as well. Try experiencing it with all of your senses, or simply witness the parade of beauty happening here in the sanctuary. Let us begin with some more music. Next back row can come ahead. as I share a homily with you, all of those who are young or young at heart are invited to continue what we started in the story for all ages and move in the ways I'm describing, flowers moving. You can even come up front again if you're so moved. And I'll give you a little hint this time about the action by knocking on the pulpit like this so you know it's time to move, okay? Flowers and plants are on the move, and their dance of life shows us something about being part of the interdependent web of all life, if we are paying attention. Flowers and creatures depend on each other to survive and to thrive. Honeysuckle and columbine grow long tubular flowers, shaped like you just did. A hummingbird with its narrow bill and its uncanny ability to hover so fast its wings are a blur as it stays in place, is perfectly suited to poke down into those long flowers to drink the nectar. Recently, I hiked in a valley filled with bluebells. There were lots of bees buzzing from flower to flower, and some butterflies flitting around, too. The bees buzz because the vibration of their bodies helps them get into those flowers and shake loose pollen. The blueness and the pretty, even shape of the bluebells attracts them. Another plant I love is milkweed. Milkweed that grows in wet, sunny places here certainly travels. If you find a pod bursting open, with your fingers you can separate the silky insides, each attached to a seed at the bottom, and release them to the wind where they fly away. At this time of year, we might see the milkweed's ball of star-shaped flowers that attract butterflies, including the monarch that glides across the meadows. And then there are some of my favorite flowers, peonies. We had a row of peony bushes in the backyard when I was growing up, and I was fascinated by the way that ants climbed around on the buds. Ooh, that's a good ant. They did this when the flowers first came out. I used to think that ants actually helped the bud to unfurl, but that's not exactly right. They are drawn to the sugary substance the flowers exude, and the ants are essentially standing guard over the buds, preventing pests that might eat the bud itself and keep the peony bush from reproducing. These are all examples of two different things, a plant and a creature that move together not just in space, but in time. Honeysuckle and hummingbirds, milkweed and monarchs, bluebells and bees have evolved together to become what they are today, two friends that help each other. Of course, we humans have important relationships with plants too, and with other creatures who help them thrive, especially the plants we rely on for food. We have done our share of helping plants to move across the land. People have taken shade trees, food crops, garden flowers, and more, and planted them in new lands. As we peopled the globe, and as we continue to migrate today. I've noticed evidence of that at Fontenelle Forest. There are several varieties of irises that were part of a farmstead long ago abandoned in what is now Fontenelle Forest. The blue flag iris I read is native to this area, but the bearded iris, which I've also seen looking wild there, is from Europe, as its Latin name, Iris germanica, suggests. Other flowers I grew up knowing are transplants from Eurasia too, like Queen Anne's lace. Okay, maybe the name gives that one away. But also the humble dandelion, ground ivy, and daylilies, or ditch lilies, which is what my mother called them because they grow throughout farm country in the ditches alongside the gravel roads. There are even several flowers from India happily blooming in our local woods. Blooming. And the movement goes in the other direction too, from the Americas to other continents. About 4 years ago, I had the chance to visit Transylvania, the region in which this congregation's partner church is located. I was confused to find so much corn being cultivated in Eastern Europe. Corn, C-O-R-N, yeah, that's right. Corn is native to this land, of course, but the food of the Americas has spread all over the world. There is field after field of tall corn growing in long, narrow strips in Transylvania. Imagine people may be having Taco Tuesdays all around the globe. Now, it turns out some plants may need human help to travel. Our climate is changing too quickly for some trees to migrate fast enough on their own. So foresters are studying ways that people can assist trees in migrating. Not sure how you show a tree migrating, but in the directions where they will be able to continue to thrive as climate patterns continue to change far more quickly than they have in centuries past. We can help them expand their existing range with new seedlings. We have such a deep symbiotic relationship with trees ourselves, as they help us breathe oxygen and they capture our carbon. Life is so dynamic, isn't it? Dynamic means there's lots of change, a lot of motion, like dancing. Sometimes that's scary, like with climate change and deadly tragedies. But the fact that life is always changing, that plants are on the move, growing, migrating, adapting with their plant and animal friends, the fact that people are doing these same things too, growing in wisdom, we hope, migrating, adapting to new conditions, learning how to be better partners with other living beings, that gives me hope. As our new chalice and chalice lighting invite us to do, we can choose to embrace our interconnectedness with the great web of life. We can choose to appreciate the beauty around us. We can choose to adapt our life ways so that we are living in harmony with the ecosystem. We can choose to protect our sacred earth. This summer, I hope each of you gets the chance to travel, to connect with friends and family, or to go out into nature and be renewed, or to move in any other way that might be life-giving to you. And I wish you also the opportunity to be still and rest, as that may serve your own wholeness. I'm going to be doing more of all of those things myself in June and July as I step away from church life for a period of rejuvenation. And I invite you, as you're able, to join me in renewing yourself during these green months of blooming flowers and full canopied forests, these months of birdsong and sunny skies. In these fields of fullness, we can laugh and dance and bloom. So may it be. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 1074 in the teal hymnal, Turn the World Around. The sanctuary singers are going to take their spot back up here on the steps and lead us in this fun song from the front. So I invite the rest of you to stand as you're able, and you may be able to sway like a flower in the breeze if you like, or snap along as we sing together, whatever feels good to you.
The intro is going to be a little longer so you can get a bit of a flavor from the piece. I'll cue you though.
Let us move in tandem with other beings on this precious planet, with other humans, each one inherently worthy, and with the four-leggeds, all those with fur and feathers and scales, and also with all the green things that feed on sunlight and soil and that co-create this world with us. In the weeks and years to come, may our wisdom unfold and our love reach full bloom. So may it be. Amen.